We lost Kernsky, who of course I knew served. And to my knowledge, and we don't know about, there's nothing documented about how they served in such a way that our young people can have access to it. And we've become aware of that in our school here. A lot is left out of the history teaching. You know, these young people have no idea what's gone before them. And of course we hope they don't experience a war, but somehow we need to make a mark so that they get some idea. Unless you live it, you never feel it the same. You need to share it with them. So here at the Mariel Cook Library, this is just a kickoff project. At this kickoff month, we're interviewing about 30 to 35 men and or women who have served, and just sharing personal things. So a nice end of July. This is out of respect for you that have served. And then it will be archived into this room, and Karen will be helping us with that, so it will always be here for future generations to do research and to study.
Good idea.
And then throughout the year, we may only get one or two throughout the year, but we'll keep adding. You know, so if someone says to you, oh, gee, I didn't know about that, I'd love to be a part of that, then send them up here and we will make an appointment, and we'll continue to do this and add to our records. So, for the record, when and where did you serve, Mr. Walker, and in what branch of the military did you serve?
Well, this gets complicated.
Okay.
In 1939, when war clouds were gathering over Europe, I was a radio amateur, and I was working for General Foods Corporation, Hoboken, New Jersey, as a laboratory assistant. And I joined the Naval Reserve, Naval Communications Reserve, as a radio man third class, met monthly drills. And things got a little stickier in Europe, so they called us up for active duty. And I failed my eye test. The duty was to run on this destroyer up off the Aleutian Islands, so maybe I was lucky I didn't get in. So I didn't hear anything more for a while, and then I got a letter from Commander Safford in Washington offering me a correspondence course in cryptanalysis with the U.S. Navy Department. So I agreed to take the course, and since I did crosswords, I found out it was easy for me to do. So I got through all 12 lessons, and then they offered me a job in Washington as a cryptanalyst aide, and I accepted for the munificent salary of $40 a week. And that was a $15 a week raise on what I was getting in terms of food, so I thought I was in clover. Little did I know that Washington, D.C. was extremely expensive. So I arrived in Washington, went to work on 20GY, which was the Navy Department's secret group that worked on Japanese ciphers, Japanese naval ciphers of the Marshall Islands group. And I was lucky to report them and break on the cipher system, and able to go ahead with translating some of the ciphers. Well, I was running out of money in Washington. It was so expensive. My paycheck didn't stretch from one month to the next, so I asked them for more, and they gave me a little tiny raise, but it wasn't enough. So I thought, well, even though the work was fun, I couldn't go on losing money. So I enlisted in the Army Signal Corps. I went to Seaburg, New Jersey for basic training, and then I was sent to Mint Hill Farm Stations, 50 miles south of Washington, D.C., for training in radio intelligence, which I really did somehow. And in one of the classrooms, there was an officer speaking. He made a mistake, and I corrected him. And I was called up to the station commander's office, and he said, "What do you know about all this?" I said, "That I worked for the Navy Department." "Oh," he said, "we'll take care of that." So I went to Washington immediately to work for Arlington Hall, which was then the U.S. Army's Code Center. I worked at Arlington Hall on night shift, midnight to 8, deciphering the Japanese ambassadorial code, which is called Purple. William Friedman, who was the head cryptanalyst at that time for the U.S. Army, had solved this system, and the machine that was used to decipher the ambassador's code from Berlin, Rome, Tokyo, was baseline machine like this telephone stepping system, telephone center where you all down tone flow through a stepping system. So I worked on that for several months, and then I noticed when I was bulletin board that there was an opportunity for overseas service for volunteers. So I volunteered. And after a month, I was told I had been selected to go to England. And they gave us a week's bit of training on the Enigma cipher machine. We were taken over on the SS Aquitania, and of course stacked out to Scotland down by train to London and up to Bletchley Park. Bletchley Park was located north of London, about 90 miles. It's about halfway between Oxford and Cambridge University. It's in Buckinghamshire. And they farmed us out to live with people, British people. I lived in Bedford, and I took a train every morning to work. 7:30 in the morning, I went down to the train station, got aboard the train with other people. Went west to Bletchley, got off, and went to work at Bletchley Park. Bletchley Park was a conglomeration of people from all over the world. And I'll tell you a little bit about how that came about. When things were going sour in Germany early on, there was a fellow in the Secret Dienst Service who saw a U.S. patent and thought they could improve on it, make it into a cipher machine, which they did. And this is a picture of the cipher machine, which is called the Enigma, or it's puzzle. And what it is a machine that has three wheels. 3 wheels have the alphabets on A to Z. And the way this works is that when you press the keys in the front of the machine, which were German plain text, running through the wheels, and then in the back there was a lights lit, and those lights lit over letters, and that was the cipher text. And in order to decipher this at the other end, the operator would type in the cipher. Words at the bottom, the lights would type back into the German plain text. Now, each time you hit one of those keys, the right wheel turned once. The next key you pushed, it turned again. After 26 times, the middle key went once. And so on. After the middle key had also gone 26 times, the third wheel went once. So, deciphering this for someone who didn't know what the system was extremely difficult. It was 26 times, 26 chances. However, Alan Turing, who was a mathematician at Cambridge and a homosexual, was able to decipher the system by means of building a bombing, or a computer that tried all these different chances from these 3 wheels. In the course of a day, it would give you the setting for the wheels for the day. Was that first one. And that served everybody well. At the time I was there, I was in Hut 6. These are all huts. It's a large establishment. Mm-hmm. We did work only on the German Luftwaffe. There were 3 main branches of German military service. The Luftwaffe, or the air arm, the Kriegsdienst, or the Navy, and the Wehrmacht, or the Army. And consider what an advantage it was to be able to read all the German messages that come on the intercepted stations in England. Now, England had a large intercept station south of Bletchley. Chicksands Pirate doesn't show on here. Must have been 1,000 operators there intercepting various nets. Also, there was one that was mostly Luftwaffe aircraft. Up at Woodhouse Eaves, there was an enormous one that was listening in on the German Army. And there was another one somewhere else, I can't tell you where it was. It was Navy. And there was a U.S. post south of London, 20 miles south of Bexley. They had 20 operators, and they were listening to the Air Force. Now, think of it this way. In order to keep 20 sets on the air listening to German radio messages, 24 hours, you have to have 3 operators on each intersection set. So there's 60 operators that you need at the station, plus administration, cooks, order, pool, all the rest. It was quite a set of people. We had to go down there and help them set up and start working. One of the interesting things, I'm a radio operator, I have amateur radio lesson. The German nets were pretty smart. Most of them worked in the Air Force on 3.5 megahertz, 7 megahertz. The reason they did that, they called this well 1 and well 2, which is well means radio wave in German. During the day, they worked on 7 megahertz band because the signals wouldn't go very far. But at night, when they'd go further, they'd shift up to well 2 or well 1, so about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they'd say well 2, they all disappeared. Turing had a help in solving the German Air Force, because the Germans were so meticulous and so thorough and so operated so much on habit. The first morning message that was sent had at the beginning, Morgan, Melvin, morning report. There's a lot of letters of plane test. Wasn't that nice? The Allies were very fortunate on the German Air Force in that they were reading all of the intercepted radio messages, translating them to German, translating them into English for Churchill, and so forth. They weren't as lucky with the Army, and particularly unlucky with the Navy, because Admiral Dönitz had to organize the submarine attack groups in wolf packs. And the wolf packs were decimating Allied shipping, which was shipping food, fuel, missions to the also around Norway and Murmansk in Russia. And he suspected the worst, he didn't know. So he threw a 4th wheel into the new machine where the German creeks needs. And that just shut off all intercept successes immediately. And they weren't reading the German Navy site at all. This presented an extreme emergency to the Allies. Turing came up with a 4-wheel bomb bay that could solve the 4-wheel maiden machine. But it was a very, very complicated process developing these, so the National Task Force for the Navy was enlisted to help. They built 100 bomb bays, something in Washington. Now what these do is these try all the various combinations until they get German friend tanks. Then they stop, and then that reading sets code on the machine. The decipherments were called the ultra-secret. So the ultra-secret consisted of the English decipherments, translations of the decipherments. Access to ultra was extremely limited. It was top secret key. Only Army commanders and people of those levels were allowed to view. The reason for that was this. The commander of a division could be captured. If the commander of the division were captured, then they tortured him, he could reveal the fact that the Allies were reading all those messages. So only Army commanders were given access to the ultra. Anything below that, corps, division, and so forth, they were told as follows. Reliable sources tell us that. And it had to be material that was exceptionally carefully handled. If, for instance, you knew that the Germans are going to have practice parachute dehumping, you didn't sally right out and shoot them all down, because that would give them an inkling that something was wrong. How did they know? They must be reading on this. Well, something else that helped, particularly for the Greeks, difficulty reading the 4th wheel. Submarine U-115 was operating up around Greenland. And this boat was sinking, returning empty ships. And she was depth bombed by the British Navy. came to the surface in bad shape. We were immediately evacuated even one night. Went off to be saved, thinking that the destruct charges they left behind would go off and blow up the ship. They didn't. So a destroyer came by, a British destroyer, boarded the ship, and immediately, to their surprise, got into the radio room. And what did they get a hold of? Was an Enigma machine. Once they had a hold of the Enigma machine, they had a start on the fourth wheel. Because that was the machine that was the fourth wheel. Not only that, but the wolf packs operated by segmental codes called Vigrad. We've got a VW, for instance, from Germany. It's a bunch of submarines that go to the square on the map that was VW. Laid wait for convoy. So this gave Bletchley Park a lot immediately as a gift. And so they started reading along the boundary where action captures and where Turing did it, reading the Germans did it. Now think of the tactical advantage, if you will, of reading all the earned messages. We've got all good plans. For instance, shortly after D-Day, Panzer Group West, which was a collection of Panzer divisions, was ordered to move. And the Allies were told this from Ulster. So they bombed the hell out of all the roads Panzer Group West would move on, all of the bridges and everything. So Panzer Group West never got to Omaha Beach. So they were havoc on income people. So there's such a tactical advantage all the way through World War II.
They could head things off.
Well, yes. No matter what the Germans planned, the Allies were aware of it. Now this extended to the Navy. For instance, they had the Bismarck and the Tirpitz, which are huge battleships with 18-inch guns. The Tirpitz wasn't finished, so they stuck her up in Trondheim in Norway. But the Bismarck sailed out to sink convoy ships. And they ran into the battle cruiser Hood and sank her with one salvo. The battle cruiser Hood had thin deck armor, so these 18-inch shells came in, penetrated the armor, went down the cutter, and blew up the hook. 2,200 people were killed, 3 people were saved. The Gneisenau and the Scharnhorst were battle cruisers, and they were decimated shipping. But the British were reading where they were headed and planning. Bismarck eventually was sunk. Gneisenau and Scharnhorst were sunk because of the support of the Allies behind the earthquake. So, all in all, this was a fascinating experience with Bletchley Park people. They had all kinds of people there. If you'd ever done crossword puzzles and applied for a job, they ever took you immediately. If you're a British person. If you're a lawyer, they took you, because lawyers are always looking for loopholes. And so on. So that what we had up there were Frenchmen, Poles, Norwegians, Englishmen, Americans, Australians, New Zealanders, and so forth.
So you had exposure to...
Now, the history of the Enigma machine itself was interesting. There was a Polish engineer who was given the job of designing the revised Enigma machine by the Germans. And he devised one, engineered one, made one. Then they found out he was 1/4 Jewish and they fired him. And that really made him mad. Right soon after that, Germany invaded Poland, and in 2 weeks it was all over. So the French took all of the Polish radio intelligence people to France. This man came. He had a photographic memory, so they were able to build an English machine for his memory. Then France was invaded and lost very quickly. So all the French people in radio intelligence were moved to Bletchley Park, along with the Polish people. So it was a fascinating sequence of events, really given the big push by this fellow, who later killed himself because he was from such a British. But this fellow afforded them the key to building the first computer that saw they did the same.
Wow. And you had the privilege of working in amongst all that.
Well, it was once in a lifetime. Something I didn't look for. But think of the advantage given the Allies by being able to read the innermost plans
Sure.
of the Germans and the Italians. The Rommel, for instance, in North Africa, was steaming along very successfully until his supplies ran short. Why did his supplies run short? All was a secret. Alfred told the Allies where to send the supply ships coming to Italy with gas and munitions for on his tank. So he ran out of gas and had to come back. Now, Walter hadn't been able to supply this information Northern Africa was lost.
How many years did you serve in this capacity?
Well, I was in England 45, 44, 43. I can't tell you. Preceding bits of time that I had with the Navy and the Army and arms stations. Exactly when I was exactly about. Well, I'd say 4 years out there.
4 years, okay.
Really, it was a fascinating group of people to work with. Part of my work in England was associated with the operation called cover. Cover means deciding what sets, what number of sets to put on what radio frequencies were operated by the Germans, so we don't miss our messages. For instance, if we had an extremely important net that was maybe a Panzer division or Panzer Corps, we put 2 operators on from one station, say at Chickasaw, 100 miles away, 2 operators from another. The reason for that is if they're having a thunderstorm here, they have to crash a thunder. They might lose part of a message that's crucial, but these people don't have a thunderstorm, they could get it. These were teletyped by Brown by Cover, 2 Bletchley, put into a group of people that fuse them together and get the information. There are other people there that have an important function, which are called log readers. You might say, well, what's that? Well, you can take a log of each radio net and see what kind of traffic is coming. There's lots of messages, no messages, some messages. All of a sudden, a lot of messages come through, something's afoot. So there's another source of information reading this log. Now, in Japan, they also had an interest in the Enigma machine, but not as much of an interest as the Germans. There's some Enigma machines that were sent to Japan, and I guess these were used by parts of the Japanese military. But the main use made of the Enigma machine was by the Germans. The Russians had an Enigma type machine of their own. I know very little about that. It was not as successful. So all things told, it's a fascinating set of experiences. The Army, purple machine, concerned masters from the Japanese ambassadors to Tokyo, Rome, and then Marshall Islands Group, and the Navy Department, and the Luftwaffe. I was really only working for the 6. These Hudson disciplines, and they had segments of the German military to work on. So I was mostly on the German profile. That's about it.
Were during this time that you served, was there anything that stands out in your mind as something that you were involved in that was monumental in your memory?
No, nothing monumental. It was general overall relentless success. Anticipating the Germans' military operations and what they're up to.
Right. How about the buzz bombs?
Well, the buzz bombs came over London, they didn't come up to where we were. Westbound sort of interesting because it goes along with the good you need when you get one in your backyard. So,
Didn't something get killed right in front of you?
well, while I was down at the American Air Substation in Bedford Park, one of the first German rockets came in and blew up. And we found out that there was a little boy with a slingshot in his back pocket that was going across the field. Buzzbound landed on him. There's nothing left of the slingshot. And at the same time, I was asleep in Hall Place, which is 1265. American Air Substation was located. And that really shook up the road. So the roof took this kid out on me. So I had some association with German buzzbounds. Rocket. Happy once I said. But no, nothing monumental. We were sort of a business. So we went to work on the train. Came home on the train. One thing that happened one morning when we were going to work, the train stopped in a town called Ashby-de-la-Zouch. It didn't go. We were worried. So somebody went to the engine and found out we had no engineer. Stuff man quit. So we sent for another engineer and finally got one. We got to work about 10 o'clock. Everybody said, "Oh, here you are, finally." But it was an amazing place, Bletchley Park, although it's very top secret and all that. The entrance was almost unguarded. Oh, it just came in there. All around this way.
Oh, it was great pictures.
Now, the British have made a national monument out of Bletchley Park, and you pay a straight fee, and you go there, and they give you a tour and say what happened on 613. But as far as exhilarating experiences are concerned, this was exhilarating to be in on it.
Well, you knew, I mean, it was a very important job, just
Well,
like the men after marching, holding a line, and you were doing a very important job.
For instance, the Royal Air Force would send out a squadron of Spitfires or Hurricanes in answer to Alfred's forecast that there was a gun or bomb that would come to the bombers. And they'd be told a friendly group of people or sources told us that there was 100 bombs coming to Dover at 10 o'clock this morning. Go shoot them down. We'll do it. So we felt that what we were doing was helpful to all of the rest of the people.
Absolutely.
It was kind of like going to work.
Except it was top secret.
Yeah. Now, for instance, I was living with a British family. There was no post, so one time I got stopped by the MPs in Bedford. They wanted to see my pass, which I showed them. It was not a pass, it was just an idea. They said, "Do you have a pass to be here?" I said, "No." "Why not?" Because I was with a British family. That's ridiculous. Nobody in the army was with a British family. I said, "Call this number and see." They said, "We're going to have to take you in." I said, "Call this number first." So they called the number. Came back and said, "No, we're very sorry. You can go on your way." I was a staff sergeant. I was never bothered again. But the British family I lived with was very nice. They paid so much for food. And I had breakfast or supper or something. They're all gone now.
Did you keep in touch with them over the years?
No, they died soon after I came out of the army. So they're all very nice to us. And then there was during the 68 13th Signal Detachment. When we went down to start up the radio intercept station the American had, Lord Haw Haw was on the air. Have you heard of him?
No.
Well, anyway, he was a German. So he was Army. Futile it was to fight against the Vermont. So he said, "Well, we wish to welcome the 68th 13th Signal Detachment next weekend. You will receive an air raid next Tuesday." We didn't hit us. But somebody leaked the fact that we didn't come over and we're there.
Okay.
So So all of the information since Mobile Island was not always safe.
Uh-huh.
Made us feel funny.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. Now, needless to say, the 4 years you spent working with these people bonded you after your years in the service.
Yes,
Did
we
you-
had a fellow who was called Old Sarge, who sent around a note of what these people were doing. But he passed away. Passed away in the outfit, so a lot of them gone.
Uh-huh.
Very few of them are left.
Right.
When I was at Oberlin, there was a girl named John Ferguson. And he was graduating a year ahead of me, so I got him a job with the Naval Cipher Department, where he worked. And he retired from there, and now he's gone.
Oh.
So it's been an interesting experience. Just think it all really came about because I was a radio amateur in the first place. And that hobby got me into all this.
Uh-huh.
But cryptanalysis is a painstaking, boring, tedious,
But very important.
but if you're able to solve the ciphers,
Yes.
now up in the National Pass Registry, there were over 2,000 people working on 4 over the boundary. And there were a bunch of Wrens right there in Carolina Park. That was a large effort that we used, making 100 boundary books on the Native American Washington. Very important in solving the German wolf pack submarine problem, because until that was solved, there was some 40 or 50 Russian missiles. That's a lot of people, that's
Yes.
a lot of stuff. So it was sort of a combined effort from Americans, British, people all over the world, back to Germany. Fascinating.
Okay.
Now, one nice thing that came out of all this, being in the service as long as I was, getting a bachelor's degree at Oberlin, and paid for half of my PhD at Cornell. What you gotta do? I don't think the people at Richmond you gotta follow through properly, because if you are getting a subsistence check of $100 a month, you send it to half of it, double your entitlement. So for 3 years government, cut your entitlement on the subsistence check, pay it in 6 years. Wasn't that something? At the taxpayer's expense.
Yeah.
Well, that helped get through Cornell.
That's wonderful. And you answered one of my last questions, and then if there was one thing that you would like to say about your experience of the war that you've never had an opportunity to say for our future generations, what would you say?
Be prepared to take advantage of opportunities in life.
Very good.
It helped me because there was that cryptanalysis course that I took that helped me get into this business.
Uh-huh.
And the opportunity to go overseas helped me get into collective park.
And you spent years with people from other countries that surely was a learning experience.
Oh, yes. Yes. One of the fellows I had a friend up there who's now dead. Inherited part of the pineapple business. Right. He was, he translated. The place that I lived in Bexar, was fascinating. It was called Hall Place. It was owned by the Thomas of Limerick, built in the year 1250. And in 1250, life was very primitive. That was before fireplaces were.
Oh my gosh.
So what they had was a great hall as big as all of this, 3 times as high, fireplace in the middle, and vents in the ceiling, and there was a smoke out. Well, in the middle of winter, you didn't stay very warm.
Would say not.
Then they put a new wing on the year 1500, which is illegal. But still had a great hall, and that's where the intercept operators sat.
Oh, good place.
Well, there were other fires around that helped to keep warm. And that was where all the operation was in Great Hall. In the old days, the peasants and the smaller people lived in Great Hall on straw. Lord and Master lived on the raised place, and that's the raised place back. Most of the bedroom ceiling was on the right. Sure. There was first 3 grades of which I was lance rests, so when they came in from jousting, they put their lances in the lance rests. Those people were smaller, 5'10". All the little doorways and lower than 5'10".
Oh my goodness.
But they must have been wiry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Hall place had a ghost.
Bexley, you mean?
Actually.
Uh-huh.
When the Crusaders went off to Jerusalem to try and capture Jerusalem, the Lord of the Manor told his lady to be faithful to him. He didn't trust her, she had chested, you know. So he came home from one of the Crusades early to get the story goes and covered making somebody. Threw her down the stairs and she ran on her head very, very good. So she was one of the ghosts. And at night you could hear her clank along the upper corridor. If you had 3 years, you could hear her clank. If you had 5 years, you heard her clank more.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for bringing these items to the Mary L. Cook Library.
You're welcome. I've taken them to many